You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by Cupra.
Welcome to Line Noise. Today our guest is Hubert Blanc-Francard, who is known to French house fans worldwide as Boombass, Boombass if you like. He's a fabulous producer in his own right, loads and loads of history in French music. But he's perhaps best known as one half of Cassius, who are a legendary French touch duo. We talked about his recent EP, Wipeout, about the influence of the PlayStation. We talked about Philippe Zdar, the French touch, and more. This is actually the last Line Noise of the season. August is coming, so I hope you have a lovely summer. Enjoy the interview. Go into the back catalogue if you like. Go and have a listen to loads of things while you're on the beach. And we will be back in September for more interviews, weird noises, and general nonsense. Cool. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I've been a fan of your music for a very, very long time.
My pleasure. It's cool.
And your recent EP was called Wipeout, or should it? I mean, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it just Wipeout? It's got the 3 W's at the start. How do you pronounce it?
In fact, it's Wipeout. I put the 3W because I wanted to change a bit the name from the game, because the Sony owned the name and everything. So I thought maybe it's funnier to. And the 3W reminds me the period of time of 2000 when we began to discover the internet things, before 2000, but at the same period of time of the music, in fact.
So why was that PlayStation game so important to you?
Well, it's just it was more like a memory, because at the time I was not. I'm not a good game player. I'm not a good gamer, in fact. But this one, I had a special thing. It was the first 3D. It was the first very speed animation and things like this. And the music too, like Chemicals, The Orb, Prodigy. So it was all this story fits well with the music, in fact. So it came like that to me. But it's more like and we were used to play a lot with Philippe too at this game at the time during I think our second album. So it was a way to remind me to the Cassius beginning too.
I think you said in an essay that you wrote accompanying the release that you heard the influence of Wipeout. I think it was on 1999, the Cassius album. How did it influence that record?
It's the idea of going back to the beats, because I was moving from my apartment and doing some boxes, and I found back some old DATs. That cassette, the D80, digital audio tape, and I played it, and I found some original version from the first album, very long, that we edited after. And really, I think it. Sorry. It was the idea to go back to beats and speed tempo, because I realized that our first album was very speed. In fact, the tempo was all around 130, 133. And this first album now sounds like the school days.
How did you feel when you found the DAT? I mean, it's over more than 20 years ago that the album came out.
But the funny thing is that when I played the music, I really remember a lot of things. It's like a pictures or a perfume. It takes you back to place and moments that you couldn't remember like this if you think about it. But with the music, you say, okay, you see the room where we were, the gears, the scenes and everything. It was really and it's interesting 20 years later to discover our musical evolution during the years, because it's something that I didn't really look at the time. we were not listening to our music before. We always go in front, and now it's over. I can listen to it in a new way, and I discover all our evolution. It's very interesting. Interesting for me. I mean,
And when you listen back to it, I mean,
yeah,
presumably it gave you a lot of pleasure to listen back to that music.
yeah. Because there was I found back the spirit of freedom we had, at the time. We always have been free, but when it's your first record, you have a special emotions because you don't think about the future and the past. You're just in the present. And when you do your second, third, fourth, you have your past, you have your economical future. It's totally a different mind. And it was really interesting to try to find back this state of mind doing the music too.
And in 2021, you published your autobiographical book, Boombass, Une histoire de la French touch.
Yes.
Why did you decide to write it?
It began like in 2000, at the end of 2017. I was 50 years old. And I think I had I just began to write for fun, like memories, because I love to read books like a lot of people, and I had the fantasy of writing a books like a lot of people too. But it's impossible to be a novelist, it's a real work and passion. But I thought maybe I could find a way to tell through one story, a musical movement story with few friends and choice, and it took me like 4 years. And yeah, it was incredible. I did that because it helps me a lot after the death of Philippe. I did a lot of work on our past already, in fact, and it helped me a lot to pass through, I think.
I was going to ask, like, if writing the book helped you sort of grieve his death.
But hopefully, I had begun before, so I finished. It was nearly finished when he died, and I didn't have the most crazy thing is that I didn't have the end for my book, and he gave it to me. It was totally mad for me. I became a bit crazy, and but I couldn't. I could have never. It would have been impossible to write it and to begin it after. I couldn't do it. Now I could, but it would be not so fun. Now it was really an incredible trip with a terrible end, but it's life, and it gives to the book a real. True strong things too, so it's crazy.
I wanted to ask, if I may, briefly about Philippe.
Yeah,
obviously a few years have passed now since he died. I mean, how do you look back on him? I mean, obviously I didn't know him, but I have very fond memories of the music he made. He was an incredibly creative person doing lots of very different things, lots of production, lots of music by himself. How do you sort of look back on him?
Well, it's me. All of this I know, but he was first my friend, as him as me for him. We had a very special relationship as two best friends can have. But we had the chance to share the music and everything too, so it was very strong. So my memory now is a bit, I don't know. It was my best friend. It's the only thing I could say now, and I could speak about it for hours. But and musically, he had a craziness that now I discover too. I knew it but I don't know how to explain you. When you're into it, you don't see things. It's like in a couple, you know, it's when you go away from her that you realize some things about your wife, for example. And when he was mixing and using all the gears of the studio, he has a special magical way of using it like a musician, you know. And I discover now on all tapes we have, all tape I have, and it's really, it's funny to discover, to realize things about a friend later that you saw, but you didn't really realize because you were into the machine.
Yeah.
You know, and now I say, wow, we were two crazy guys. and I know I'm gonna miss these two very long time. You know, I'm gonna miss him all my life, but this craziness on the music and sound too, I'm gonna miss it always because it was really our way of doing things, you know. And now I have to find a new way of doing and of having fun in doing music. But I'm gonna miss that because it was really incredible.
But for me, it sounds like on Wipeout you are having fun, and it's a very fun record. And I think you said that this EP was influenced by Cassius. Can you explain that?
Yeah, it was totally influenced by the way we did the first album. Because we were in the studio, we had few beats, you know, with a few things, and we were producing and writing and mixing at the same time. And I did the same things. I did it very, very fast. Each track was nearly 90% finished before I do something else. And it was really fun because no questioning, I was not thinking about release it. So as we did at the first album, we spent time in the studio for having fun because we had beats and we wanted, La Funk Mob was over and I said, let's have fun in the studio, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's one of the best way to do music too. And at the time I was really into find it, looking for this fun again, but alone. But no, I mean, interesting to do music with other people too, because alone it's boring.
Yeah. But one thing I really love about the EP, about Wipeout, is it's got really strong influences of both reggae and rave.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
But rave, it's more me. I was not into rave at the time. It's more a sound that I loved like a few years ago. You know, all these old beats, and because in fact I was into hip hop at the time, and it was really difficult to go into two new currents. You know what I mean? Two movements. Yeah. I was into hip hop. I couldn't go into hip hop and rave in the same weekend. It was two different worlds. But now later, I discovered all the music, and I love the sound with lots of reverb and noise and speed or not speed. And the reggae has always been a music I loved, and especially all the London scene of the 80s. And I had the fantasy when I was 12 years ago to be part of the mods and ska scene, you know. Mm-hmm. I was dressing like them and everything. And I found back some old samples I was using on DJ with Philippe. And I say, and there was a lot of reggae and I don't know, sound like Jamaican sound, and it was fun to mix like it was in the end of 80s, and in jungle a lot of raga and Jamaican guys in the jungle too.
Because
but I never been to Jamaica.
One day.
Yeah, of course.
I was going to say, I remember seeing you as Cassius, you and Philippe as Cassius in a London club. Yeah. I'm guessing around 2001. I'm not entirely sure, and I think I remember you were triggering a lot of samples over as Philippe DJ'd, and it was that kind of thing, wasn't it? It gave me that kind of feel.
Yeah, because we began to. In fact, the first time we DJ together, Philippe was mixing with turntables. And me, I brought my Akai sampler and a little keyboard, and we discovered that I could put a lot of samples on the mix. And we did that for 25 years. I was using a MPC, all the pads, and was putting a lot of samples, vocals, sounds. I used a lot of different things during all those years. And it was when we were really into it with the crowd, it was really, there was a special energy because we were using, it was two guys and not only one DJ. So it was really cool.
I wanted to ask you about hip hop, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Because you started off in production. Your dad was a producer, right?
Yeah, he's still a producer. Yeah, he was a recording producer, mixing engineer, recording engineer.
And so, how did you get in? How did you start off from that? Did you start off sort of making the tea in a studio?
Yeah, I spent 2 years and a half, I think, in a studio, recording studio, but I really understood that I didn't want to be a recording engineer or in the things of recording things. I was more interested about the synths, and the musical things and the drum machines and things like this. And after I spent 3 years on a record company in Paris, in Polydor Records. Mm-hmm. And I discovered hip hop because we were receiving a lot of records from everywhere, and it was magical for me. It was like the record company at the time. You had friends everywhere, and you were surrounded of records. And I discovered hip hop like this, and I met MC Solaar at the time there, and just after, because I was doing some tracks at home, and I began like this. Like really. Not so, a bit accidentally, but the music was in France. It was emerging,
Yeah.
It was socially incredible. It was really brand new that so much people from the suburb began to have a culture coming from America, but it was adapted in France. In the south, in Paris at the beginning, and it was really for me. It was the future because there were social things that I didn't find on the raves.
Yeah,
even there was a social movement in the rave, but there was no lyrics. There was no artists with lyrics, and so it was a different thing. I don't compare, but for me, I was more interested in hip hop through all the culture around it.
And what was it like working with MC Solaar? I mean, he's an absolutely legendary figure in French hip hop, right? And I mean, and around the world. It must have been pretty incredible working with him.
Yeah, because we were really all kids, especially them, maybe like 3-4 years younger, but at this time it's a lot, between 24 and 20, And it was the two first albums, the most important of the beginning. It was really on a total discovery for everybody. Everybody was talented, I think so, and was discovering all the possibility of working together and doing a new music in a way, because at the time to sample and to have someone who's not singing on it, it was like, what? So we had the feeling to live something really new. And it was very, very exciting. And there was a lot of trust between everybody, so it was working very well. Like all the great records in history have very often the same story, in fact. A bunch of people having a special moment in a special room, and it's printed on a tape. And it's what happened at this time.
And your music, I mean, even when you were making house music, dance music, has always had a really strong hip hop influence, right?
Oh yeah, always. Always like in fact, through the hip hop, it's the way of seeing the funk and the soul culture. The hip hop at the beginning, it was a way of, by sampling the stuff that nobody knows, from the uncles records or things like this, was a way to do a tribute to this type of music. And the more and more the time goes, it's still in a way a tribute to the R&B and funk music, But on the hip hop, the thing I love is the way of the idea of sampling. It's really the sampling, my specialty, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from the hip hop.
So when you say sampling is your speciality, does that mean you're very good at finding the right sample? Like you can listen to a record and you'd be like, no, we want those 3 seconds or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to people say I'm very good at this, but no, I do this for so long that I know I have a special. I have two things cool. It's that I can have an idea of a sample if I listen to it in a restaurant or in a bar. Say wow, or on Spotify. Sometimes I say, oh, those 2 bars are really great, and I put a heart, But there's a way of doing too when you put by totally hazard the on the records, and finding some sampling with emotions too. The idea is to have always have a bit of emotion in the samples. So I don't know. It's my pleasure, my specialty.
And talking of hip hop, as part of Cassius, you worked with Ghostface Killer and Mike D.
Yeah.
Among many other people. But what was it like working with Ghostface Killer? That must have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, it should have been amazing, but the thing is that we just met in front of in the studio, but in front of the room, because he thought we were the technicians of the studio at the beginning, because we were 3 little white boys and they were like 10 very giant black hip hop guys from the Wu-Tang, And it was not all the Wu-Tang that Ghostface was part of, so they couldn't understand we were from a band. But after it was fun, and he thought at the beginning we were the Daft Punk, so it was a lot of mess. It was very fun. But he did the voice without us, and we were very sad, but the result, we love it. But it was not like with Pharrell or Mike, where with Mike D, we become friends now. He's an incredible man. And with Pharrell, it was really a musical exchange. But at the time, it was already incredible that we could, that he accepted to do the song,
Yeah.
And the mix is really fun. And I think we put too much instruments on the version. I have few versions very interesting without a lot of things.
Well, it now could be the moment to release that.
Yeah. I'm working on. I do a lot of listening, and I think they're the beautiful things to release. Because with the idea of the sound of Philippe and the way of producing, because it's not already. Sometimes it's not mixed. It's like a rocking version. It's very crazy. So I think I can do something fun.
You mentioned La Funk Mob briefly,
Yes.
which was pre-Cassius. And you recorded for Mo Wax, which at the time was, one of the most sort of fashionable labels in the world. It had its own kind of thing going on. What was it like working with Mo Wax back at that time and being part of that whole scene?
The great thing is that when James called me, it was through a friend in a record company. We were really trendy guys and very good at A&R and knowing all the new tendencies and everything. But honestly, I didn't know at all. I was into MC Solaar at the time and nothing else. And I didn't know at all Mo Wax. So I had James and at the phone, because at the time we were speaking by phone. And he was really, he had a communicative energy and passion for music. And he told me really great things. So I sent him some music. And after it took like a few months, And we did it in Philippe in Paris on a real pro studio, like for 48 hours. We had so much fun. I sent the tapes, and I totally forgot for months. I think it's been out like maybe 8 or 9 months later. Because at the time it was very long to release a record. It took time. It took months. So maybe nearly a year after it was released, and for me it was like I was not into the culture of the electronic music. I was into hip hop, so I was into hip hop record shops. But Philippe was really into techno, house, electronic. He knew that the label was really trendy. But for me, it was a total surprise, in fact. And after I've been to London, I've been in the first office. It was a great mess with records everywhere, big table with paper everywhere, 2 young guys, and a lot of great music. So I'm really, really lucky to be part of this, because it was really like because of phone call. So it's great. And because of Solaar, because he listened to the first album. And James told me, I love the instrumentals you did. I want some for Mowax, the same type of things. And I said, okay, let's go.
I wanted to go back briefly to the book you wrote, A History of the French Touch.
Yeah.
Often people write books, people who are inside the scene write books because they think that people are wrong or get something wrong about the scene. What do people get wrong about the French Touch?
No, I think I wrote, honestly, at the book is around, it's like auto-fiction, but it's not a fiction because it's real, but I am it was around me. I didn't want to do a musical book around a movement. In fact, it's a point of view from the inside, and I choose few friends and one story I go through from my 12 years old to my 52 years old. Mm-hmm. But my publisher had the idea to put une histoire de la French Touch because Boombass is not enough clear, to understand the things. And I said, okay, yeah, it's cool because we are part of this, mm-hmm. And it's a good idea. And but there's nothing. No, I don't think people get it wrong with it. Mm-hmm. It was just one. It's one point of view through our beginning and the stories we had after. I think it's a lot of people told me they had really not fun, but they really loved to read it. So I was really happy.
Going back to the present, you released an EP in 2020, Le Virage.
Right.
And you said that after that you were having problems completing songs. Why do you think that was?
In fact, it was really, it's really easy. I did Le Virage. I was beginning to fall down, because it's few months after the Philippe's death. Mm-hmm. And it was so violent that you have like a protection. So for a few months, you can live with it, and I could, for myself, I thought, I can live with it. It's not so incredible. In fact, I thought some crazy things. And just after I finished the Virage, I began to really have very, very hard times. So I couldn't finish anything. In fact, I was totally in a big mess. But except of this, the real things that I had to learn, but no, I know it's done. I had to learn it was to finish things because Philippe was doing it before. Mm-hmm. It was the part of the not hundred of times, but almost of time. I began something, he finished it, and as he was mixing it, he was the finisher of the project. So when you alone like that in a very speed decision like that. It's finished now. You have to do things alone. I thought I couldn't be able to do that, but in fact, I know I can. But the thing I understood is that I don't want to do music alone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find back a way of doing this with friends because I miss the collaboration, So it's interesting.
And again, on the essay you wrote, you talked about
Yeah.
meeting May, yeah, and how that led into a creative renaissance. Could you tell us about that?
Sorry. What do I did not understood.
You mentioned in the essay you wrote about meeting
Yeah.
a woman called May.
Yeah. Sorry. May, yeah, May. Yeah, at the same time, I mean, now we are friends. We are not together anymore.
Mhm.
But it was a really, it was just at the funny thing is that she's born the same day as my mother.
Mhm.
And I found and I lost her 2 years ago, and I find some sensibility very close about music with her, and we spoke about a lot of music at the beginning. It was really great, and she helped me in a way to do the music because she was like it was a way of how do you say, like when you sing in under a window of a woman.
Oh, right, to woo them, so something like
You know
that,
what I mean?
Cicero de Bergerac kind of style.
Yeah, it was my way of doing being with my guitar in the front of the balcony and say, hey, ling ling. So I was sending tracks like this. It was great.
You mentioned your mother who sadly passed away, which
Yeah.
again you mentioned in the essay around the new EP. Um, and I wanted to ask, like, what did your mother make of your music that you made?
She was a big, how do you say, not fan, huh, but a big, un soutien, a big handle, a big,
A big supporter, maybe.
yeah, big supporter because, exactly, thank you. Because she had a very special sensibility with music that I love and a way of saying things about it very simple but very true.
Hmm.
And so it was very helpful. When it was not good, you could know without without being blessed, not hurt, without being hurt.
I mean, you come from a very musical family. I only realised just today. I knew your father was a producer. I only just realised today your brother as well makes
Yeah,
music.
yeah, absolutely. We began together too. Yeah, we had the chance to grow with father into the music more into the recording and musical world, and we had the chance to be able to live and do this without a family pressure too, which is very great. Because sometimes it can be hurtful. I'm sure it can be difficult to do the same type of things as your family. So. And it helped a lot because we grow into this. We grow into with guitars and cables and keyboards, and so I love that. It's good memory.
So, you mentioned you want to work with other people. Do you have sort of plans for more music to come out?
Yeah, right now I go back to the DJing,
Hmm.
and I really enjoy it a lot. It's really it's funny because I wanted to stop 1 year ago, but no, I love it a lot. And so, because it's really helpful for doing music to be in contact with a crowd, whatever you do,
Hmm.
you always understand things because at home you have some records that you love and you play them and you say, "Wow, I will never play this because everybody's leaving," things like this. So you understand that alone you can be a judge and the victim. You know, no, the victim. You can be in front and in the back. It's impossible. So you need always to have. So I go back in this, and yeah, and I do a lot of music now because I have fun to do that, and so I don't know. I think I'm gonna do the same, maybe on more simple, same type of the Wipeout, not the same music, but things, you know, a release like this with few tracks but I have to find someone or some people to do.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not clear because I live in Normandy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more organization to see your friends and things. You know, it's not like before. And I'm not very good in organization.
So I was looking on Apple Music today because I was interested to see what would be on the best of Cassius playlist.
Yeah.
And there was a new Cassius song. Now, I assume this is a mistake. I got it wrong. It's called Sakozor.
How do you say? That's a new one because I have it every week.
So what?
It happens every 15 days. There's another Cassius. It goes on our page with a crazy music, and people writing to me, "Is that you?" I say, "No, I wouldn't never do that alone like this, Cassius, without saying anything."
I wanted to check because I thought, no way, this can't be a new Cassius song. Then I listened to it, and I thought, no, I don't think it is. But
no, and no way like this without saying anything in like that on digital. But it's crazy that you can be on a page of artists like this without verification. I don't know. It's strange.
It's not very helpful.
No.
I want to ask one last song, if that's okay. You've been very generous with your time.
Yeah.
And basically, you've been making music now and releasing it for 30 years, a bit more than 30 years.
Yeah.
What is the one song you would play of yours if you wanted people to understand what it is that you
it would be definitely a Cassius one. Right. It's not my I don't find right now my favorite ever of what we did with Philippe, but I think I would choose The Sound of Violence to resume. It's like for me the middle, to explain, between the past and the last thing we did. It's like for me the middle musical period. One of the best track we had, and the start of a new direction. In fact, after the period of the French touch songs with the first album and all the samples. So I would say to resume, because after we kept the thing of doing song, but if we go back to the sample things with I Love You So it's like the middle. You know what? If you do pyramid, it would be this one on the top. I think to resume of what we did, I think it's a good track.
Brilliant. Well, Boombass, Hubert, merci bien.
Mais c'est moi, merci beaucoup. Hein.
C'était très gentil, j'ai bien aimé, c'était un plaisir. Thanks so much for talking to me. And
the question was good, so it helps.
I hope you'll come and DJ in Barcelona soon.
You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by Cupra.